All right, Mr. Mayor, you can start the meeting. We are good.
Okay, call the January 20th Committee of the Whole meeting to order. It's about 6:38 PM. Everyone is present, is that correct? All trustees?
That's correct. All trustees are present.
Awesome. Okay, so we have 5 items on the agenda, so we'll try and be as efficient as possible. First one is the National Incident-Based Reporting, NIBRS discussion. Chief, are you taking this one, buddy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to bring to your attention, we put a memo together that's in your packet, but for probably the last 3 or 4 decades, we've been reporting crime statistics through the Uniform Crime Reporting, which is reported through the state of Illinois and then ultimately goes to the FBI. And those are the crime stats that you see reported in the newspaper. There's been a lot of criticism. It's an older system. The critics of that system said that it was too easily manipulated and by the reporting agencies. And so a lot of the cities they believed were reclassifying crimes like attempted murders into just shootings and things like that. So they developed this national incident-based reporting system, and kind of the key to it is going to be self-extracted from our CAD systems and our incident reporting systems. So all the incident reporting systems that have been sold probably in the last 5 years were required to have modules to self-extract. The CAD system that we use from Southwest Dispatch is newer and it has that capability. We've had a small committee that our records clerk, Melissa Garcia, has been part of to make sure that that is up and running. The state of Illinois switched over to NIBRS reporting beginning on January 1st of this year. And so I wanted to kind of bring that to your attention. A couple things about NIBRS. It's going to add additional index crimes that are going to have to be reported through NIBRS. And one of the keys to it is that the UCR on crimes only reported the most severe crime in a situation. So, for instance, if you had a murder, there's usually several underlying crimes that are occur in that crime as well, and you only reported the most serious. The NIBRS will report all of the crimes that are attached to that incident. So from a crime statistics perspective, it's going to be hard to compare new crime statistics to past year crime statistics for a single agency. But across agencies, it'll be consistent. So if it causes our crime stats, let's say, to jump about 30%, it'll do the same for Lockport and Woodridge and the surrounding crimes. So that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to bring that to your attention, is that next year it'll look like there's a larger incidence of crime as it's reported, but it'll be consistent through all the villages. We may be able to get that information a little bit quicker. I think there's still a 3-month lag period at the end of the year where crimes, let's say aggravated batteries, could turn into homicides if somebody dies, and so there's a catch-up period. I don't think that's going to change, but we may not be, a year behind in crime reporting anymore as this goes into effect. But we are up and live, and it is operational as of January 1st. Does anybody have any questions about what that system is?
Hey, Chief, real quick. So it sounds like we're going to be like comparing an apple to an orange if we compare this year to last year. So obviously we want to avoid doing that, right? We can't restate the prior year to NIBRS, I would imagine, correct?
No, there's really no way to do that. So there's going to be that one break year, but as you get to 2 or 3 years out, it'll start stabilizing again, and you'll be able to look at your own trends.
Yeah. I mean, we always kind of laughed when you're looking at, Lamont, and then you compare it to, not picking on Bolingbrook, but a town like Bolingbrook, and, you would think we would be incredibly better than them, and they're like right in line with us. I guess it never really, from a gut check, it never made sense, some of the stats. So it sounds like this is going to be a little bit more accurate, or It's tougher for the local agencies to to reclass or manipulate it. Not that anyone quote unquote was manipulating, of course.
Yeah, because as the crime codes go into the offense report, that'll be collected at the end of the year, self-extracted. There'll be some verification to make sure that they're accurate, but otherwise it'll be reported that way. And the lack of comparison from apples to oranges is really in the aggregate numbers. For instance, you know, if you had murders, that the murder number won't change. It'll just be the total number of crimes. But, you know, if you looked at categories of crimes like burglary or aggravated battery, those won't. Individual, I'll still be able to compare it to previous years.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments for Chief?
Chief, Ken McClafferty, does Lockport, any other nearby towns use this already?
There were two or three towns in Illinois that were reporting through pilot. I think Rockford was one of them, but no, because they have to go through the state, and the state wasn't ready to turn this on until January 1. So everybody's kind of going together.
Okay.
There are towns that don't have the proper CAD and RMS systems to self-extract. I don't know what the federal government's going to do about that.
We have the software already for this, right?
We have it, and most of the agencies up in this metro area do.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, before we get too far on the agenda, I asked Chief, perhaps, if he can give an update on the vaccination plan for Cook County. We've had a couple meetings today with the other taxing bodies, and the information is changing from week to week, but sounds like we're getting a little bit more of a handle on it. That'd be a good time right after the Chief's short item. Chief, I do have the Cook County PDF if needed. I could put in the background, but you just want to give a brief update on where we are locally, especially for residents if they have concerns, questions, where to point them, but just some general topics, Chief.
Yeah, pretty much what we talked about today on the conference call, just because I know I've gotten questions on it. I just want to make sure all the trustees we're all saying the same thing, from 1A to 1B to 1C to 2, and kind of rough timelines, nothing set in stone, so forth, so on.
Sure. Well, I guess the first thing I would say for the residents is to make sure they look at Cook County, if that's where your residence is. The CDC has given the states a lot of leeway with some general guidelines to administer the vaccines, and the IDPH has in turn allowed each county to customize the logistics of that vaccine distribution. So some of the counties are using large distribution sites. Some of them are partnering with some of the pharmacies. So we have on our website the link to Cook County Public Health, and go there to find where we are. As a state right now, we are just getting done with the 1A. And remember, the 1A were the healthcare personnel and the long care facility residents. The long care facilities are almost an independent track, and they have subcontracted through CVS and Walgreens to actually go to those facilities and do those. And they'll be continuing throughout the course of all of our phases. So if you have a family member that's in one of those long-term care facilities and they haven't gotten it yet, it doesn't mean that they missed 1A. That's almost a separate and independent process that's going on. Right now, the healthcare personnel that were hospitals, and then it became EMS and clinic folks, are just about done. Most of the counties are transitioning to 1B beginning on Monday, the 25th. And those will be the essential workers. And if you go onto the IDPH website, they've kind of defined about who those responders are. From a timing perspective, the only timeline I saw was from Chicago that said they're estimating that 1B is going to run through maybe mid-March, and then they'll start 1C, and 1C will run until early May, and then they'll start 2, which phase 2 will be everybody who is not included in an earlier phase. I will tell you that Most of my officers got vaccinated already in phase 1A, and it's because there was enough of the vaccine available and enough of the 1A personnel that chose not to take the vaccine. So I anticipate that in 1B, it's going to be the same instance, that there's going to be a number of vaccine that's available and a number of people that don't want it. And we talked a little bit about this morning about having a backup plan if we get the vaccine locally, don't have enough people to take it, or they've already been vaccinated in an earlier stage, that will then move forward and try to get the other folks who we can. Since the meeting this morning, I did finally get a hold of the Cook County liaison to our pod, and she said that the 1B that is beginning on Monday is going to only be the essential workers. And right now in Cook County, they have 4, they call them super pod sites, that are being activated in county facilities. There's one going to be out in Tinley Park. They're anticipating that at capacity, they can do 1,000 vaccinations a day at those facilities. And they're also trying to increase the number of Osco drugs and get a contract with Walmart to do additional vaccinations. They're still working out a plan on the 65 and older, which are the other group of folks that are in 1B. So that will not be starting on Monday, but she said that by the end of next week, they would have a plan together, and they're looking to try to do more community-based for that population, because they know transportation will be hard to move to other facilities. There may be a chance that our fire department may be involved in that as well. So that tomorrow morning, Cook County is on their website. They've had a registration, a document for information that and a survey that folks can fill out. That's going to transition into an actual, some kind of a registration document that's going to go up tomorrow. So we'll put that out when we see it. And ultimately, the plan is that most of the registrations for all these phases is going to happen online and through appointment process. So that'll be something that we'll be working with the township and other organizations to help seniors that may not have access to a computer, internet, get registered and get vaccinated.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. And I know Rick had his hand up. Go ahead, Trustee Snagowski.
Yes, I want to go back to the NIBRS deal. I got 2 questions on that. One, there was a statement made in our report that said most of the country has already transitioned to this. And I guess it's been around since 2015. So I'm just wondering, how do we stay more on top of this so that we have more of a lead time in making the transition? That'd be one question. The second part is, we talk about additional funding coming from the FBI and the BJS of more than $120 million in financial support. So what we didn't talk about, is there a cost to the village? And if so, how are we going to cover that?
Yeah, well, there's not a cost to the village.
Okay.
The real cost is if we had to purchase an RMS
software.
That was out software,
Okay.
But by being part of Southwest Dispatch, we had that provided for us. And
Okay.
Fortunately, we transitioned to that new CAD system, I think 2 years ago, or else
Right.
we'd have been looking at that. As far as the timing, that was a decision by the state of Illinois. I think it became just a financial system for their Bureau of Identification in Joliet that just didn't have the capabilities to be able to take that information and then report it. And the FBI didn't want to have agencies report individually because there's so many agencies in the United States for that to report. So they wanted it to be aggregated at the state level. They thought about that in 2015 and 2016 and just have it direct reported, but it became, and that's why they had the pilots with towns like Rockford, but it became too burdensome.
All right, Chief, where I'm coming from on this is just that, I'd like to know in the future when these things are kind of, and I'm not talking about this particular one. You've answered this question great. I'm just saying in general, when things are boiling that might be coming, especially if they have a financial burden on the village, the sooner we can know about it. So at least we have it in the queue, the better, we can plan for it. So this particular one sounds like the state, as usual, sat on it for a while because they didn't have the financial wherewithal. So that answers that part of my question. And then obviously, whether or not we have to pay for anything, which you've covered, we don't. So great. Thank you.
Yeah, and there was a battle with the state to not go to this. So that was kind of out there as well.
Well, I'm not against advancing the systems to be more accurate and things like that. I'm talking about planning financially for us. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I mean, we want to get it in the budget cycle and things like that. So obviously, the sooner we start thinking about it, the better we're going to be prepared. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments for the chief? All right. Thanks, chief. Appreciate it. All right. Next up, we got the fiscal year 21 year-to-date update. Chris, you going to take this for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to put this one, and then the next agenda item is going to be basically, we're going to roll into that one. Just real quick, some high level stuff. Basically, where are we year to date, and where some GDP numbers and some forecasts of what people are saying for next year. So basically, the chief already has discussed. The vaccinations, that's our pro. The stock market is still strong. I just looked today. When we discussed this last year, we were hovering around 30,000. Now we're, over 31,000. The Illinois is moving into tier 2. So those are our pros. Our cons are, and then you'll see that where everybody says, basically this year, the 2021 GDP growth will not be strong enough to overcome 2020. And, in looking at a lot of our retail sales tax, and not really us as much because, we were not affected. We were, but, we didn't have the big boxes that had to close, that we're still doing, we had the smaller retail sales tax. But the thing is that when you look at the numbers for like these retail stores, when they reopened after the March and the April being closed, they had the sales, but they didn't have like double the amount because they were closed. So, they're coming back, but they're not coming back like double so that they offset the time that they're closed. And then the other thing is, and I've said that before, history shows that, that after, we usually have an economic crisis every 10 years. So we're very conservative with that. So I read an article, The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And then, like I said before, the good is our vaccination. The housing market is still strong. And if you look at Lamont's numbers as well, the medium housing is higher than it was last year. And houses aren't sitting as long as they were in previous years. So the housing market is still strong. And the stimulus money, of course. And the bad is, the vaccination is taking longer than anticipated, although I think they're kind of moving it along. Can the economy stand on its own? That's the one thing without the stimulus money. Because when we look at our income tax, a lot of that unemployment numbers and a lot of that employment income that people are receiving is still going to be taxed on income tax. So, once that all runs out, where are we going to stand? The ugly, of course, is our political environment. And then I just read on the U.S. News report cards that Illinois ranks 50th on the fiscal stability category on the report card. This is the most concerning because we received.
You were surprised?
No, but we received, and that's why I'm always very conservative. We receive state shared funds. And if they have issues, in the past, they have either reduced it or held it longer. And so that is, when we start budgeting for next year, that is always a major, major concern. And, everybody says, and it's true, economic and budgeting prediction is harder than ever because we have no idea how we can predict, but we have no idea. We have to plan for the future for long term. So anyway, so just a couple of little slides that I pulled up from other areas. And like I said, if you can see, the 2020 GDP growth and 2021, what's expected, it's not going to outbalance itself. So we're just, I don't know what's going to come. The next one is economic outlook. Once again, GDP growth, unemployment. Everybody says, unemployment's going to go down and go back. We're hoping, it depends what industry we're in, and then inflation. The next one, single family homes. This is basically how we fared at the end of 2020, and then total permits issued. As we said in the past, Jason, I think, has said it, and Mark has said it, that basically total permits for remodels and all that we're very, very high on, especially during the when we had a stay-at-home order. So people were doing stuff to their house in their houses. Okay, the next one is we just received our retail sales. And since there's no line, I kind of did a box for it. So our retail sales for January, which would be October. October sales. So you see the box there, and we're still very strong. And looking at a lot of it, I do believe, and from like personal, a lot of in September and October, there were a lot of sales going on because trying to get people, back out. And so a lot of people were done with Christmas shopping, they weren't going to have a Black Friday. So a lot of people were shopping in advance. So the sales are strong, both in non-home rule and in the non-home rule and the retail sales tax on both of the areas. And the income tax, surprisingly, it was also strong. So, and this is the one where I said it's a little worrisome too, because in April, if they stay on schedule, taxes are going to be due April, and we're going to receive it in May. So you'll see that spike. So we saw, and because last year they decided to defer it, so we saw the spike actually in this fiscal year, because our fiscal year runs May to April 30th. We saw the spike in August. We're going to see the spike again in April. So it's going to be a little bit inflated and saying, oh, we're doing not bad. But the only thing is that we see there's spikes on there. If they move it, then it'll be moved. Then we'll just have it in 2022. So we don't know how this is all going to shake out. I don't think the state can afford to push it because they're really struggling. But we'll see what happens on that. So that's our income tax. So now our year-to-date revenue is where we stand. We are actually, like I said before, there's only, and I've said that in the general fund, there's only a couple of the revenues that are really, really hurting by a lot. The video gaming, the telecommunications one, and I didn't, it's actually in the taxes, but the telecommunications one is running about $100,000 less, which is about 20%, which I amended the budget, but I did not realize that when we actually did May 1st, that telecommunications is going to be hit that hard. So, the other ones are, they're on target, or they're based on what budget is. But if you look at year-to-date last year, year-to-date and year-to-date this one, we are about $350,000 less. Some of it is timing, and some of them is just your video gaming. We're less. The property taxes, I don't know. It's running a little bit less on the property taxes side of it. It could be it's the collections, and then, like I said, the telecommunications is running less.
Last fiscal year. We're in 21.
We're in 21, yes.
Hey, Chris,
Yeah.
just, can you explain these columns? We're muted and we're trying to figure it out. So just so I understand. So the fiscal year amended 2021 is is that a 12-month budget, the 11.7?
Yes, that is a 12-month. Yes, we don't, our system does not, we've not programmed our system to do a seasonal one. So yes, that is the whole entire year. And then
Oh,
year-to-date amount is as of December 31st. Sorry, I didn't put the date on that. The December 31st is the year-to-date amount. And then the percentage collected is the percentage of the amended.
got it. And then the column to the right is really not a year-to-date amount. It's just, that's last year's 12-month total, right?
No, that the last column is actually December 31st of 2019,
Oh,
the fiscal year 2020.
oh, got it, got it. So
Yes,
last year, December 2019, we're 171,000. December 2020, we're 125
correct.
for a video game. Got it.
For video gaming, correct.
Okay, got it.
Now, I amended this budget because we collected well over $200,000 in a normal year. So I amended this budget. That's why we're about 71%. But the video gaming people have been closed. So I don't even know if we're going to get higher than 125,000.
So sales tax, we're actually above where we were last year, but is that because of the 1% was not fully loaded in the column to the right? Sales tax, 1.468
Yes,
million.
is higher than the 1.420, and that is
Right.
and that's not the non-home rule
That's
sales
just the
tax. That's
1%.
just sales, and that's the 1%. But inside that's well, no, yeah, that's just the sales tax. So yeah, because the local use is a lot higher. But yeah, that we are higher than we are when we were last year.
No, that's what I want to know. So basically, COVID has not impacted our sales tax year over year as far as for the 8 months ending December.
Correct. But you also have to think too, so that means that we have, we have a full year of Pete's, fresh in
Yeah.
this year. So you also have to think about it. Okay, it hasn't hit us, but what would it be if we didn't have COVID? That would be a heck of a lot higher than 1.468 million.
Right. Yeah, I guess the better way to explain it is, hey, we're actually above it, but we're above it because of adding new business. We got it. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Okay. And then that's another thing too, is if you look at, the income tax, yeah, we had the spike and things. So the income tax is okay. But like I said, that's the one where that has always been taken if or delayed, if the state has problems. So that's the one I'm always worried about. Year-to-date expenditures, we're all on track, but we haven't had a lot of our personnel, because of the fact is overtime. We haven't had major snow events yet. So it's seasonal. The other financing uses at 100%, that's just a direct transfer to debt service. So that one should be at 100%. The capital outlay, I still have to look, that was still from some of the purchases that were supposed to be in last year, and we only, like the police cars, we did amend the budget, but I still have to look at to see what else was out there. There must have been something else that was unordered that we received. Okay, now the general fund, like I said, was doing okay. Now we've got these smaller funds. And like I said in the memo as well, the smaller funds are hurting. And the smaller funds, the ones that are really hurting are the parking lot fund, which that's our commuter lot. And I had mentioned in the memo, our permit revenue. We actually did, we have it on a calendar basis. We actually did sell about 50% of our permits, which is amazing because people think, they're going to start going back downtown and commuting back downtown. And so they want to have a permit. The daily is down right now, 90%, the daily permits. So that's when you go there and you pay your $1.50, or if you're in the train, you do convenient, it's $1.50 to pay for it. So those are down.
So Chris, sorry, which budget is that you're talking about?
That is not in a general fund. That is in, and that's actually not on this one. Unfortunately, I did not put, and I noticed that later. It is in its fund itself. George, if you want to go to the cash one. Go to the cash.
Yep.
There you go. So it's the last line item where it says parking lot and garage funds.
Okay.
So right now on a cash basis, we have 193,000. Without these revenues, we'll probably be short around $90,000 a year until it comes back. So we've been fortunate. We do have a large fund balance. Long term, if this doesn't come back long term, we need to discuss about what we want to do with those commuter lots. If, you know, how we want to do it to make it, because we still have to maintain it. We've been very fortunate that we did a lot of maintenance and a lot of capital work last fiscal year and the year before that. So there's not that much out there that needs to be done, but there's still daily. There's still, you know, you still have to maintain the lot and maintain the building. So as of right now, I'm not that worried until, you know, like I said, we're okay for a little while because of fund balance, but we'll need to address this in the summer if it doesn't come back. The other three funds that we're monitoring it is the IMRF, the Social Security, and the TIF funds. On the IMRF and the Social Security funds, basically those are, and that's why there's right now, as of December 31st, negative cash. Those are 100% funded from property tax. So if Cook County decides, because March 1st is when 50% of the property tax, we will receive the revenue. If Cook County decides they're going to delay it, we're going to be, when the last time they decided to delay it, a lot of the banks paid it anyway, and it's really just the people that paid off on their own. But we really have to monitor this. Once again, we have strong fund balances in IMRF and Social Security. We have pretty strong fund balances. But we'll need to monitor that if we don't receive the cash. Around 200,000. We'll receive it, but we won't receive all of it. So we are monitoring those funds. And the other one are the TIF funds. So those are also property tax.
Sorry.
Sure, no problem.
So I need help on the screen. I don't understand exactly what I'm seeing. Cash and investment funds.
Yes.
This isn't the money that's in those funds though, because you're saying we got negative $18,000 in the IMRF, but then you're saying we have a strong fund balance. So
Yes.
what is this? What I don't understand what this is showing me.
Cash is fund balance is basically, at the end of the year, what the fund balance is. Cash is where we stand today. And the reason why, and this is cash. So this is exactly how much money we have, not how much, we have any due funds, but this is how much we have today as of today. The reason why you have your IMRF and your Social Security funds are negative in your TIF funds is because they are 100% funded by property tax. Property tax we only receive twice in a year. So we received half of the property tax in what was supposed to be in August, and we received it where it's supposed to be, but we only received a lot of it in October. And then we receive it in March. So they are going to they will run negative until March. And in March, we should receive around $200,000 to $300,000. But these IMRF and Social Security funds, every single payroll, we have to actually distribute them to IMRF and Social Security. So it will run negative. So that's why that's why we do a cash as a whole, because one has to support the other until we get cash flow. This is more of a cash flow.
Okay. And then you said but we have a lot of money in reserves in that fund. So where do I see that? Because I would have.
We have money in the reserves, but IMRF only, the fund balance was around 90,000. And then the Social Security is around 20, but you have a budget of 600,000 is basically the budget for it. So as we get the revenue is a big bulk,
Right. Okay.
So that's why the thing is the expenditures are 76%, but the revenues are only like 50%.
Okay, and that's why you're saying that we have a lot of money in there, is because you're projecting the amount of money that we're going to get is still going to be higher than what we have to pay.
Correct.
So
And
we'll
then
have
the
a
year-
positive fund. Okay, I understand now. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, but like I said, on a cash flow basis, depending on what Cook County does, we might have a little bit of issue. So then the general fund usually, if there's any issues on that, the general fund usually ends up helping it out. So
Okay. And then if we have to move money from the general fund to one of the other funds, do you have to come to us? Do you come to us for a vote? Okay, that's what I thought.
yes,
All right.
I do a resolution, yes. And then it gets noted in the audit.
All right. Thank you.
Problem. Okay, so now we can run on to the budget process. So basically, we've started the budget process fiscal year 22. I can't believe it, but we've started the process. And historically, what we've done is started the process with capital equipment that is in operating, the CIP, which we're going to discuss in February, and then we start with the other operating. The reason why we do the capital equipment and the CIP is basically for contracts, and so that we can start the process now instead of only started in May. And it's advantageous for us to start the process early. As you know, the capital equipment, the operating capital equipment is usually your trucks, your police vehicles, cameras, anything that's high in capital, but it's not like a major infrastructure, but it's capital, and it's in the operating. So it's in your general fund, supported by your vehicle sticker revenue. And as you know, we did not, even though with the COVID, we did not reduce, or we didn't we did defer it. However, we still are running around $630,000. We need that money to support our capital. But we did do for this year, as you can see, we and that's the one that's highlighted, we did reduce significantly our capital purchases, our capital equipment purchases. So we took a year off. So now we're looking at fiscal year 22 through the 5-year through 2026. And this is a high level. If you can see on the police, the Lima, the public works, water and sewer is supported by the users. And then if you go down all the way down to the end, between what we need and how much our sticker revenue is, we are actually in the positive by 43,000. So now I think we should go through each department and discuss what is out there. And the directors will make mention, but there's a lot of stuff that was deferred. So we took a year off, but there's a lot of vehicles out there that we need to start ordering, and other items that we do need to purchase. We can't take another year off. We did that in 2008, and it's very difficult to start back again if you take 2 to 3 years off on these vehicles. So with that, I think, I don't know if the chief wants to mention a little bit, or if the board has any questions on the purchases for fiscal year 22. I don't know if the chief wants to mention anything.
No, but the only thing I want to mention is the conversation we had today about the vehicles. Yesterday, Chris Huber got a phone call from a contact at the Ford, and believes that certain public works and police vehicles will need to be ordered I think the public works maybe the next week, the police vehicles in the next 3 to 4 weeks, and then they're shutting the lines. And so that's something I think we need to talk about, and can't wait till May to do that order.
Yeah, and just to mention too, is that if we would order it now, we would put a purchase order in, so we would take the money, and designate it towards it. However, I don't think, and Ralph can correct me if I'm wrong, or the chief, I don't think we'll take, if we order it by the end of January, we won't take the expenditure would actually hit in fiscal year 22. So we're going to order it, and then we will, we'll put the money aside, but the expenditure will actually hit in 22. If we wait till May, they stop ordering it. So we may not get it till 2023. So you're almost looking almost 2 years then.
Yeah. And Chris, yeah, this is a bit of an accounting issue. This is one of the reasons why we wanted to move to a calendar year, which we're not able to do. But essentially what we're asking for, these dollars that we'd be putting in for the May 1st budget, we'd like to order the equipment this month, and have a resolution probably for Monday night. You know, and it, depending on how we handle the purchase order, it'll hit this fiscal year, but we can roll it over. It's the same car we're purchasing. We're just doing it now in January versus May 1st. Otherwise we have to wait an entire year. So one of these anomalies because of a fiscal year, change. So,
So-
anyone okay with that? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just have a couple quick questions. What 2021, what was our budget? What was the original budget that we set? You might have said it, but I think I missed it. What would it, before we adjusted it for COVID, what was the original number?
With the capital or with everything?
Just with, no, with for the capital equipment for the police.
Yeah, I know the 190 was in there, but let me go.
Oh, okay, that's good, Chris.
Yeah.
So 190 is always the number we put for police vehicles. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, and then so we just shifted. We added a year to the life of every vehicle is what we're really doing here, right? For
Yes.
every existing vehicle. And then well, my last question is patrol vehicles. Is that 4 or 5 vehicles that we would order out of that 190, or is it 3?
It's 5, right, Chief?
It's 4
Patrol and one.
vehicles and then 1 admin vehicle.
Okay.
Vehicles on the second line.
Yeah, I see the admin. Okay, so the 190 is equivalent to 4 vehicles.
4 vehicles
Okay.
and equipping the 4 vehicles.
Sure. Okay.
The only other thing I would add on the budget, on the last thing, the 9,600 for squad car printers that was in this current budget, and we anticipated that we would be transitioning to a new ticket system through our new CAD, but it's not ready yet and may not even be ready next year. So we're not expending that, and we just pushed it to 2022. And if it doesn't go live in 22, we'll just push it to 23.
Okay. Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with doing it early for feedback on that too. So thank you. Thanks for the answers.
Okay.
Body cameras are due to what they passed last week.
25.
Yeah, they're effective in 2025, and right now in that bill, there's no funding attached to that. We're going to go back to take another bite at that apple, but sometime between now and 25, that we'll have to go there, and we're estimating that's a upfront cost of maybe $40,000 to $50,000 for body cams.
Then there's an ongoing data storage and all that, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Although that 40 to 50 may cover several years of contract, depending on whether we go to a company that does kind of the Netflix leasing model, where you get all the equipment and pay a cost every year, or you purchase them outright and they may last, for 4 or 5 years, and you buy your own storage.
Got it.
Yep, and that goes back to, I think, Rick's point earlier. Since we know the date is 2025, we could start planning ahead, maybe have a workshop devoted solely to that topic and how we're going to structure.
For what? All we got to do is start funding money. That's what we need to. Nothing to talk about. Start saving.
Invest in, storage and,
Well, the good news is the storage is going up in a lot of these places because of competition. It's getting cheaper and cheaper. So that's one good thing that is coming down. I've got a couple of questions, George. You don't want to recognize my hand, but I'm going to cut in anyway. So 2 things. I don't think there's any problem with advancing the order for these cars. It seems to me that if they're that hard to get, somewhere along the line there's a big demand. So if nothing else, we're never going to get stuck at one. We could sell it for more than we bought it for. So I don't see any reason why we need to hold back on that. Let's get in early and get it at its lower price, so we're not the ones stuck trying to order one after the fact. If anything, we could sell. That's one thing. The second thing, George, if you can go back one time to the admin equipment, I notice again, 21, 22, 23, there's a 50,000 in administration. What is that 50,000 for?
Well, we keep, kicking the can. That's to redo our audiovisual system in the boardroom. So yeah.
Okay. The reason I ask is because this year we in the past year here, we got tagged with a computer update that I didn't hear any conversation about. Yes, yet it was still about $100,000 cost. So my point is, that's a lot of money that not have on the budget. So if we have computer costs like that again, that we know are going to happen because we need to upgrade every 3 or 5 years, then let's get it in this budget so that we don't have a surprise of spending $100,000 that wasn't on the budget.
And
So if this 50 is for something else, then we need to start putting money in here on an annual basis. Again, same kind of plan to start saving for these upgrades that come every 3 to 5 years. Those are, that's a big nut when we're looking at 40 grand here to spend 100 and the whole year is a 40 grand budget. That's a lot.
yeah, and I think that's separate from our other IT costs. That's a bit of a nice to have. I think that we should probably even evaluate what do we need in this room, in a post-COVID world, and you could really go crazy with all the.
Well, you're talking about this audio visual,
Yeah.
50 grand.
That's
I don't
really
care
one.
about that. At least
Yep.
you're aware of it. You're posting something. I'm more concerned about the things that aren't listed at
Yeah.
all. Those are the
No,
ones that bother me.
I think the conversation in a future workshop is, again, what to do with our, the old police station and the heating and cooling at Village Hall. I mean, Village Hall was just redone, but it wasn't a complete rehab. It was those are some things we need to get a handle on for the future. What
Well,
space needs will
yeah,
be.
in general, whenever we put a Band-Aid on something, we haven't done the surgery. So the minute we put a
Yeah.
Band-Aid on it and we say that's what we're doing, we should immediately start talking about what is the actual true cost in the future and start budgeting for that then, or at least planning for it.
And we'll have a discussion on that because last year we started the discussion about wanting to have a maintenance fund and moving some money over there. And then with COVID, we couldn't really do that. So I think we're going to have that discussion again when we discuss budget, is having a maintenance fund and start putting money away for future maintenance.
Okay.
Okay.
We got
so-
any other COVID exceptions? Let's get them all on the table so we're done talking about that.
Okay.
So this is Lima and Public Works. If Ralph wants to discuss.
Sure. Yeah, so we have some equipment that we pushed because of COVID. Sorry, Rick.
Sorry.
But
Rick, I love you guys.
so anyway, we're looking to purchase 2 mowers. That's the $20,000 you see. I don't know if you guys saw it, but the sidewalk snow machine that we have downtown after the snow, it is fantastic. It drives right down the sidewalk with a plow, and it has a little sprayer on it, so we could spray calcium chloride. It works great. It saves a ton of time for our guys instead of shoveling. We wanted to purchase another one of those this year. The 2-post lift would be split between the water fund and the general fund. It is a lift in the maintenance garage that we have now that needs to be replaced because we are having a hard time getting it passed through inspection because of its age. It came from the old shop on 127th Street. We've been trying to get that for a few years now, but it's coming to the time where we need to replace it. I have a lift gate split. We have a grant through IRMA. It's a lift gate on the back of a pickup truck where the guys wouldn't have to lift the heavy equipment back into the pickup truck. It's $26.87 and we'll get a $1,500 grant. Sorry, my phone's going crazy here. Then I have a lift here split with water and sewer. That is a scissor lift, if you guys are familiar with that. It's going to help us with the Christmas decorations. The guys, we can use it on the sidewalks to decorate the trees. It'll take them to the height they need to be. We have lights at well 6 light bulbs that we can't even reach to replace. We don't have a lift. We'd have to borrow the Park District's lift. Over the years, we've done that. That's what that lift is. And then I have a salt spreader for an F-250, along with a plow for an F-250. We are starting to see the need for smaller trucks around town with alleys, parking lots. We have some smaller streets where we have to go get a smaller truck to actually to fit through these areas. So we do have an F-250 that we can equip with the salt spreader and plow. That's what you see there. And then I have a 551 ton truck that would be replacing a 15-year-old 1 ton. That's 5 years over the limit. Which we like to keep 1 tons. We like to get rid of them at 10, but this one's 15 years old. And it looks like that's it. That's what we have in the general fund for equipment.
And then the same thing with Public Works as with the police cars, right? Ralph, is that we would like to put a resolution through and purchase
Yes.
the
Yeah,
truck.
so it's basically Ford that has the deadline. The deadline, I think it's the end of next week to order these squad cars and pickup trucks and 1 ton. So it's Ford that has the deadline. I'm still waiting to hear from Peterbilt on our big trucks. If they have a deadline, I'm sure they do at some point. And like Chris said, we won't be taking delivery of these vehicles till after May. So it's probably going to hit after May, right, Chris? The budget?
Yes, yeah. Well, but for Monday night, we'll have the resolutions for the board to pass, so we can
Oh,
do the.
yes. Yes.
Hey,
So,
Chris,
questions?
go ahead, Ralph.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to change. So Chris, you have the water and sewer up here. You have 226,000, 285 in 2022. Then on the handout, you have the total and then you back it out.
Yes.
So when you back it out, is that kind of the total just for the general fund and the water and sewer is paying for their own? Is that why you're doing that?
Yes, correct. It's the summary of all the purchase of the equipment, but we back it out, yes, because water and sewer is funded from user fees.
Okay, all right.
So moving on to water and sewer.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Ralph.
Okay. So we have a 2.5 ton dump. That's a big truck. That's the biggest truck you'll see on our streets. Those we like to get rid of at 15 years. And the one we'd be getting rid of is a 2006. So it's right on point. We have that 2-post lift that you see that would be split with the general fund. And then the lift gate with the Irma grant, you see that. We talked about that. And then there's a scissor lift split with the general fund. And then we have the water meters, which is a pass through. We get that money back. And that looks like that's it for the water sewer.
Yeah, and I believe on the 3/4 ton pickups, we haven't, the 70,000 for 2021, we have not ordered those as of yet, right, Ralph?
We have not. Well,
On the agenda
no,
for,
we have not.
Yeah.
So that will be on the agenda as well.
for Monday.
Not going to say because of COVID.
Hey, I just have one quick question. Can you go back one screen? So Ralph, for the sidewalk snow machines?
Yeah.
Did we spend 30,000 this year for
We spent
2020?
15.
Okay, so we adjusted it from 30 to 15, and so we're buying a second machine for next year. Is that
Correct.
am I reading this right?
Yes.
Okay.
We
Okay,
bought
thank-
one. We're looking to get another one. That's why it's half the price in this year.
Okay,
So,
but this year the budget was, or our actuals was actually 15, not 30. Is that correct?
We wanted to get 2,
Yeah, okay.
but I was a little leery on how it was going to work. So I wanted to start with 1, and like I said, it's fantastic. It saves a
Okay.
ton of time, and that's why we put in 15 for this year.
Okay, well, I guess my only question then is, if we still have budget, are we trying to get rid of that? Why wouldn't we buy that this year instead of next year? If we got budget for 30 and we haven't reduced the budget? So would we,
That's a Chris question.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it, but yeah, you're right. I should have either changed that to 15 or we should have purchased another one on that. And I can follow up on that.
okay, thanks. That's it, thanks.
Okay.
All right.
So our next step is budget is always very as a lot of steps in our budget process. And for fiscal year 22, which will start on May 1st of this year, we'll have another cow for the capital improvements program. Then in March, we'll discuss the annual operating with approval in April. Time flies.
Yeah, and thanks, Chris. And it's really just, breaking it up. So we're not here till 10, one time. We're here till 9, 3 times, right? But we're going to talk about those building issues during the capital improvement portion, kind of the bigger picture items. So we will get into that in February.
Yep, so that's our next cow, right?
Yep, correct.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
All right, thanks, Chris,
Yep.
appreciate it. All right. Okay,
All right, next item.
next item. 512 Illinois Street.
All right, Mark, I'm going to stop sharing. You want to grab the screen if you have something?
I do, thank you.
All right. Cool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, this item on our agenda is a preliminary plan unit development for property located at 512 Illinois. It's an existing 4-flat there at the location there at generally Illinois Street, Home Street, Porter Street. The property currently has R6 multifamily residential zoning classification. The preliminary PUD request is from the property owner, the applicant, Mr. John Greel. He is working with architect Simon Batich on this development that would result in the development of a duplex unit as shown on the plan on your screen on the southerly portion of the property. The item is a preliminary plan unit development due to the, mostly due to the existing nature of the lot. There is a number of deviations from the code required, no open space, reduction of the lot size per dwelling unit, lot width, setbacks, both side and corner, in addition to front and rear. And that's to allow one of staff's condition is for the applicant to come back with a plat of subdivision. This is currently 2 lots, but the existing lot line goes through the rear of the existing 4-flat, so that's going to need to be adjusted. That's noted with the allowing the non-conforming lot to be developed, and also to not require a tree survey or tree preservation plan. There's not many or any trees on the site right now as it is. As a reminder, of course, plan unit developments are allowed within our zoning, and they're allowed where the village relaxes the development standards that we have, such as the items that were listed in the previous slide. And, part of the review with the plan unit development is a number of objectives that are listed in the code, some that staff has identified as being, consistent, that this request is consistent with, is, allowing a creative approach for residential development of land, encouraging patterns of land use that decrease trip length. This is near the downtown, and having a duplex in proximity with the metro station. And then finally, encouraging the introduction of related and complementary land uses. This would be complementary to the area. So a little background, this item did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission twice, actually, for public hearing and discussion, initially in December, and then again a couple weeks ago on January 6th. I did show the design. That was one of the primary items of discussion in December from the Planning and Zoning Commission, was the design that was proposed by the applicant. The top was the initial design, and then at the bottom is the revised design that was discussed in January. The item did get a unanimous recommendation of approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission. in January. The item was also discussed at the Historic Preservation Commission. That was the initial design that they did review, the top one that had since been modified. So, this would, I believe, have to go back to the Historic Preservation Commission, certainly before permits are issued for, approval of their certificate of appropriateness. But in general, the HPC was comfortable with the request. And so to kind of just summarize the conditions of approval that staff had, staff is recommending approval of this. As I had touched on with the final PUD, the applicant should also provide a plat of re-subdivision addressing the issue with the lot line. We're asking for some foundation landscaping on the existing 4-unit be included. And feasible, some additional trees on the side or in front of the 4-unit should be provided. Effort should be made to upgrade the facade of the existing 4-unit building at 512 as well. So those were staff's, and of course, any other outstanding comments from consultants would need to be addressed. And those are staff's recommendations. So the applicant, I believe, is here as well. Him and the architect. So they're here to answer any other questions that you may have. In addition, I'm happy to answer any as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Just real quick, the staff recommendations, there's 5 recommendations. Does the owner have any issues with those 5 recommendations?
No, they do not. Oh, go ahead. John.
I don't have any.
I don't have any issue.
Okay, great.
Is it the same owner that owns the 4 flat, or 2 different owners?
That's the one owner for all property.
The question I have is why I know there's an encroachment from the 4 flat. Why do we want to re-subdivide?
This is just empty lot there. I like to build something there.
No, I know. I'm saying why are we giving away that there's an encroachment? Why are we re-subdividing the lot line, the existing lot line? That's probably a question for Mark, I'm thinking.
Well, staff recommended the re-subdivision to address the issue of the encroachment, because without re-subdividing, then you would have, again, right now it's under common ownership. We don't know that that would continue forever, right? So we wouldn't want a situation where maybe there is an attempt for, whether it's the existing 4 flat or a new duplex, for there to be some sort of sale or transaction involved. And then that creates an issue where a portion of a building is on this other lot. So in order to make it clean, if we are allowing the duplex to move forward, to make it clean, we want the 4 flat on one lot and entirely on one lot, and the new duplex entirely on a lot without any encroachment. So the subdivision request is to address the encroachment.
Gotcha.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have one question. I thought the other page said there were recommendations from P&Z. Are those included in these 5, or were there other recommendations?
With this item, they had to clarify, yes, they recommended it based on staff's conditions. There's no additional.
Oh, they didn't add any additional criteria.
Not on this item, no.
Okay, that's it for me. Thanks.
Trustee Snagowski had his hand up. Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify I guess the same thing that Ken was talking about. If it's not re-subdivided, Mark, then we could end up with a feud over it because there'd be somebody else's building on this property. Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
they would have to correct the obstruction before they could sell the other property?
yes, some mechanism needs to be done to correct the issue, whether, extreme case would be physical removal, right, of the encroachment.
Okay.
Staff's originally, the applicant had easement over it, but even in discussion with the village engineer, it was sort of that I had with the village engineer that
And
cleanest,
if there are people who will pay it, they might as well charge it. But,
the cleanest and easiest way to do this would be to just divide it, and that would address any other issues with potential sale, feuds,
Okay,
etc.
you've answered it. So this is the easiest remedy going forward.
Correct.
Mark, would you recommend them not being allowed to use the floor area ratio on what we're giving up for future development? If they built something on this 4 flat, that they couldn't use the FAR or the floor area ratio that they're adding on, or we're giving up from the other lot.
Well, we don't have a floor area ratio in the code. We do have something similar, and that's in the downtown zoning district, in the R4A district only, a maximum floor area allowance. That's not in the R6 though.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure if your, lot coverage is something applicable, but, eyeballing it with the 4 flat, even with the re-subdivision, they probably are fine with the lot coverage, but there wouldn't be a FAR on this.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Mark, real quick on the staff recommendation / planning and zoning, number 4, effort to upgrade the facade on the existing 4-unit building.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something a little bit more concrete on that?
Yeah, we don't have anything more concrete for that at the time. That was something at planning and zoning that was asked as well. If it's the desire of the board, that's something that we could reword and specifically ask for more detail with final PUD, just to have something in the books. But the applicant did not have anything formal or concrete with the existing 4 flat at this time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, that gets cleaned up. So I'm planning and zoning obviously had some thoughts on it, or someone did. I just want to make sure that gets cleaned up. So there's a little bit more better language there.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? We good? George, anyone else?
I don't see anybody.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you. Next up, we have 12959 Main Street, the special use over on 83 in Maine. Who's taking it? Thanks, Mark, by the way.
You're welcome. Now I have this one as well, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. The applicant is Mr. Joseph Mino of Mino Stone, who I believe is present, along with his attorney and some other consultants, as well as the contract purchaser, Mr. Zoran Nikolovic. I'm sorry, and I apologize for butchering that, Zoran. The request here is a special use for a freight transportation terminal to allow for the parking of 179 parking spaces for trucks and trailers. In addition, there are 3 variations with the request. I have them listed technically here, but in short, the first variation regards paving the parking area, curb and gutter. Now with that, the applicant, in working with staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission, initially did not want to pave the site, but they are now comfortable paving it, provided that it's phased, and we've done something similar on a site nearby on Main Street. So in this case, the applicant's proposing to pave the site over a course of 4 years. However, they are still seeking relief and requesting to not put curb and gutter along the west property line, which would be toward the top of your screen, where the ComEd property is located. Staff's suggestion and recommendation, though, is still to have the site completely curbed and gutter. The other 2 items that are variances are for connection to the village utilities, the water and the sanitary sewer. The applicant has noted, there is some issues with the distance from the existing location, some issues with the bedrock and an existing natural gas line that makes it difficult or prohibitive to make those connections. Staff's recommendation is, when they are, those utilities are extended with the development of the site nearby, the village-owned property, that the applicant should connect to them. So, those are some items that there is, some disagreement with the applicant on. So just real brief, the property in question where the star is located there as our M2 general manufacturing zoning. So with the special use, this special uses are uses generally allowable in the zoning district, but we require this extra level of review just to make sure there's no issues with any external impacts or problems that the use could create with neighboring properties. And primarily with the truck parking, staff's concern was with traffic, and was something going back to the technical review committee meeting with them. They did provide a traffic study from KLOA, and which had been reviewed by our traffic consultant as well, that these traffic impacts should be minimal. And additionally, it is shown in our comprehensive plan to be an employment center, which is not a really good match there, but the comp plan also calls for it to be sort of a gateway area, the Route 83 and Main Gateway. And generally it involves aesthetics and making this an attractive and appealing gateway. So out of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and in working with the applicant over time, the applicant has revised their site plan to put a berm in and some additional landscaping off of Route 83. The original plan, in fact, called for over 190 parking spaces, but in order to provide for the berm and the screening that has been requested to go above and beyond the code because of this gateway, there have been some parking spaces lost. They had provided this last week that does provide some illustration, if you will, of what this could look like, in addition to their formal landscape plans that have been provided. You can see the detention area here, and then the berm, and a pretty good amount of landscaping off of Route 83. They've been really good at working with staff on this, and specifically with our village arborist, who's been out to the site as well. As noted, this item did go to a TRC back in August. This also had 2 Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. The first one was in November, and then subsequently here in January, where it did get unanimous recommendation based on staff's recommendations of conditions with some additional conditions that the PZC had as well. A lot here on this page. Most of the staff conditions, so the conditions 9, 10, and 11 in the bottom, which are in italics, are the ones for planning and zoning. A lot of the staff conditions are just buttoning up some things, further documentation with the well, if we were to allow them to remain on the well and septic, to just make sure, it's got potable water and it's safe to drink, etc. So a lot of this is kind of standard boilerplate. Noting on item 6 is to formally have in an approval, if this is approved, the 4-year plan for them to pave this item, the parking lot. There's some recommendation on the fencing as well. The Planning and Zoning Commission comments. The Planning and Zoning Commission did want to try to restrict the trucks from going westbound on Main Street, although with that being an IDOT road, that might be difficult to do. And its location off of 83, the trucks would most likely go east and access Route 83 anyways. The Planning and Zoning Commission did want the stormwater detention facility to be wet and have a fountain in there to further enhance the appearance of it. And then require the landscape elevation plan. That was this plan. We didn't have that when we went to planning and zoning. So that was something that they did make a recommendation to provide, and they have done that. So again, the applicants here, their attorneys here, the contract purchasers here, I believe there's another number of other consultants present as well to answer any questions that you may have, and I can as well if appropriate. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Just a couple of questions. Right now, Mino Stone is creating sales tax. Do we know what the annual sales tax that comes back to the village is that right now?
I don't know that. I don't know if Chris, are you still here? Do you know that or have some idea of it?
Jason, are you on?
Yeah, it's gone down over the years, but anywhere, maybe a high of 20,000 a few years back and around $10,000 now.
And trucking right now does not generate, obviously, any type of increment revenue back to the village. Is that correct?
That's correct. Although we do have a MOU with Lamont IV to provide some revenue based on the impact of the trucking.
And that was put in place because we're not home rule, correct? If we were home rule, we would be able to have discretion to do that, correct?
Right, that's right. In the situation with Lamont IV, the memorandum of understanding is strictly between the village and that one property owner.
Got it. Okay. And just some questions for the applicant. Zoran, how you doing? I'm Mayor John Agowski. Zoran, I don't think we've met before, but Zoran, just can you just walk me through, some of the, and I'm just looking, just metrics. I mean, we want to make sure this is financially viable. We want to understand it. I think we've gone down this. We go through this with every potential trucking firm. So as of right now, I know it's less than 190 lots. What is it at? Is that 179? Is that?
179.
I'm sorry?
179.
Yeah, 179. And just from a business standpoint, you rent those on a monthly basis, correct? And what's your average monthly rental per spot?
Okay, so for right now, I'm located in Westmont, Illinois. I got property, the Zygmunt Place. It's off of 63rd and Cass, and I can use. I mean, I'm using this place for 10 years, and I can park like a 20 bobtail trucks, or I can park like a 4, tractor trailer park. I also use 20 spaces of Vic Place, what is located also in Lemont on the main road, just like a couple miles down from this place, and I have 20 places with Vic. I have also like over 20 places in Gary, Indiana, where I park, the rest of my trailers, and 20 places in Joliet.
Got it. So as far as just your average per month rental income you're going to get on one of those 179 spaces, what is that?
It's around $200 per month per truck.
200, yeah, and that's kind of what we've heard, as the market. And so if we're going 179 times 200, you're getting monthly, if everything is filled, approximately 36,000 a month times 12 months is approximately, $430,000 on an annual basis of rental income coming in. And obviously, you're not always going to be at 100% just because you have ins and outs, but, for round numbers, we'll go with 400,000. So as of right now, we're going to be losing sales tax. There's rental revenues coming in at 400,000 to Zoran. Obviously, you have your expenses, Zoran, but as of right now, there's no fee that's paid to the village, no revenues that the village achieves. Correct, George, relating to that 400,000?
Correct. The way the county assesses these types of businesses is under, what they call minor improvements. So it is a lower class than a typical industrial building. So even the property tax is limited, compared to your typical industrial.
Got it. Okay. And what are the avenues we've used before as far as, because where we're going with the Zorn is that there are impacts to the community, right? So, residents are going to say, hey, whoa, wait a second. Right now, we're getting 20, 30,000 a year in sales tax revenue. You're replacing that with a lot more potentially truck traffic that, a typical resident obviously does not like when they're trying to get to work in the morning or coming back, so forth, so on. And I know there'll be different arguments, how heavy is the volume, but what we're trying to do is representing the residents, what is the impact from a financial standpoint to the village? Now, with additional truck traffic, there's going to be additional wear and tear on the roads. There can potentially be a police call, calls, alarm calls, that sort of thing. So bringing this business in, there are additional costs to the village. And that's what we're trying to, as a village board, balance out in this. And I just want to make sure you understand where we're coming from as we, pursue this.
I understand, just that space is going to be filled up more than 70, 75, 80% with my own trucks. I have 187 trucks on the road, what is owned by my 3 companies. And I'm doing 48 states. Most of the trucks are newer. When I say newer, 18, 19, 20, and now if we're going on Lemont as of right now, or Joliet Road or Gary, I have less than, today I have only of 187, 7 trucks and trailers. So they are not there. Just, I want to move all my business to one place. I live in Darien, and I don't want to, for me, why I like this place, it's very hard for me to send the drivers in Indiana to get a trailer, and I need to send some of my employees. Then I need to send somebody to Joliet to give them a truck and a trailer, and someone need to come to Westmont, So, for the taxes, I know that the trucks have a rolling stock number. We don't pay sales tax, like when we buy the cars or something, and we can bring traffic. Yes, we can bring some traffic, it's normal, but sometimes when say, hey, you will have 187, 179 spots, those spots won't be full all the time. Those 179 trucks, they won't go in and out every day. If they stay on the parking, then I'm not gonna make money. I need to shut down my business. So they are over the road. It's a little bit different than container company, local company, Midwest company, construction, dump trucks and stuff like that. Most of my trucks, are newer and over the road, and I don't think they're going to harm the roads or something. If they can create traffic, the trucks, they always create traffic because.
So Zoran, just so I understand, so you're saying that out of the 179 spots, you're going to be using a certain percentage of them are going to be your own trucks? Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, 70 to 80%. Yes, correct. Yes.
70 to 80%. Okay. Where are those trucks being parked now today?
They are on the road. Thanks God they are not parked. If they are parked, I don't make money. But on the weak place, what is in Lemont, what is Latko and Sandra? What was the name of the parking spot? They have that parking lot for 3-4 years. I'm the first one who start parking my trucks. Some of the trailers I have in Joliet and some of them in Gary, Indiana. That's where I'm renting. But right now, as of today, I got 10 trailers in Gary, and they are older trailers, what I'm planning to sell them. And the other old trucks are on the road, and I have 4 trucks here in Westmont. They're waiting to go on the road.
So are you going to buy more trucks if you're going to 70 to 80% is, again, I'm just trying to figure out the math here. So there's going to be additional trucks being parked, or it sounds like a lot of times they're out on the road delivering, correct? Are the deliveries overnight? What's the volume of truck traffic coming in and out on a given day?
Maybe less than, in Illinois, 5% maybe, because I'm over the road. My truckers, my drivers, they don't come home, and they are not from Illinois. I got maybe 2% from Illinois. They are all from, from Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, California, Washington states, everywhere. So we don't go Midwest or coming back to the truck terminal. My drivers, some drivers I didn't see them for 1 year.
Okay, so it sounds like when you say 5%, that to me is like maybe 10 trucks a day coming in and out. Is that?
I cannot say 10 because it's going to be maybe 20, 30 because going to be a repair shop also. And newer trucks that use synthetic oil, they need to come every 40 to 50,000 miles for the inspection and service. So 40,000 miles and 50, that's like in 4 to 5 months. Average per month, one driver, single driver, going between 10 to 12,000 miles.
If they buy diesel fuel, will they buy it at a gas station close to you?
Everywhere.
All right. And I just got a couple other questions. So it sounds like you're committing to, hey, there's going to be low volume. Can you commit that there will be no westbound traffic through town? Because as of right now, if you're going northbound, you're probably going to go up Route 83. If you're going southbound, like the 355, you can go on to Archer Road. Do you have a problem with eliminating all traffic westbound on Main Street into downtown?
To pass my location and to go more further west?
So just to restrict vehicles from heading west. So if your trucks are going to 55 to go north on Archer up to the Burr Ridge area, or if they're going to go south, you're going to travel Archer Avenue south. I think the mayor's asking the main street going west from your facility.
Okay, so we're gonna go 55 north to south, and then Kingery south, and then make a right on Main, and that's how the truck's gonna get to the property. And I believe down south of, if you keep going west on Main, that's all parking spots over there, the trucking companies. But they're not gonna keep going west on Main Street to 355. No, they're gonna go back on Kingery North and get 55, and then 55 north to 294, or 55 south to 355.
Okay.
Where are you in Lamont now, Zoran?
What was the Vic place? Okay.
Oh, Vic. Okay.
Yeah, Vic is there. Eli. First is Eli, who I know. But the next to mine is also some Lithuanian guys, I don't know them personally. And then it's Eli, who I know Eli for 15, 20 years. And I know Vic and Sandra for 20 years too.
Okay. And what are the sales price of are you buying all of the property right now, Zoran, from Mino Stone?
Yes. It's excluding the, I believe, 4 acres, what is south of the building, I talk with the owner to have a right first, if that come for sale,
Hey, Mark, can you go back to the slide that shows the entire property? Yeah, there you go. So which one is it? You're not buying the red one to the east? Is that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, actually, this one was
to the south, right?
So if this is the main street here, then this part, I'm not buying this part, I believe, right? Yeah, I'm not, this one here, no.
You're not buying that one?
This one, no.
Where my mouse is right now.
No, this one is not theirs. This one here, what I'm moving here, this.
You're buying the building, which is in the red, right
I'm
there.
buying the building what is in red. I'm buying here. There is the other building here, but if you're going more south, this parcel, no.
What do you plan to do with in the building? Are you going to operate in there or just?
The building, the newer building, 3 floor, that's gonna be my offices. If I have extra space, and I don't use it, maybe I'm gonna rent out some of the offices.
Okay.
This one here, what is the huge building? I don't have experience in repair facility. I do have 20 years with the trucking, I'm going to look for the some people who has experience with semi trucks repair or trailer repair. First, I'm gonna look for a trailer repair because I have a lot of trailers, and the shops what I'm using, they're always busy, and if I can rent out that place for a trailer repair, or I can find some mechanics, who can do repair for me. But it's a huge place. It's a 33,000 square foot.
And George, repair shops do not generate sales tax, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Other than.
Any other questions or comments for Zoran or?
Zoran, you're buying the building, the building where the steel is right now. It's the steel, not that steel building. Is that correct? With the parking?
Okay.
Are you making any improvements to that?
I would love to, yes, because that's been that building. It's it's old and been used, for a stone factory,
Yeah.
So I gotta do a lot of improvements to that building. Yes.
Yeah. The reason why wouldn't you, like, as a trustee, like I'm not crazy about parking, but I could live with it if there's some other improvements if you came in and said, listen, I'm buying the steel building, I'm going to put a commercial building in there, I'm going to lease that, we're going to get some sales tax or something out of it. It just seems like, why wouldn't you put something in there, put that in your proposal along with the parking?
Like what kind of building?
Whatever improvements you wanted to make on it. Like all I see now is you're coming and looking for 179 parking and that's it.
The thing is that the building is still with the machinery inside and everything, how they operate. When they're going to be empty, clean, I'm gonna have a more idea what they need to do and how to do it. Right now, if the ceilings are so high, if I tell you I'm gonna knock down that and put a new building, I cannot say that because that's a lot of money. Improvement, if I need improvement of the siding, improvement of the roof, improvement on the inside, yes, I'm gonna do it. But again, I'm not gonna knock down and put the new building over there.
Yeah, I would just like to see it as a whole parcel, that whole site being developed as one big plan, as opposed to 3 or 4 different applicants coming in. That's my personal opinion.
I'm with McLafferty on that. This is Trustee Kittredge. I think I'm just really not in favor of this at the moment with this proposal. So if we can add something to build some revenue, I'm not keen on this right now.
Rick, you had your hand up. Go ahead, Rick.
Bring like a sales tax car dealership.
Car dealership? Yeah, I mean, that's a
Revenue generator.
That's a revenue generator.
Okay.
Yes.
So what if I open a car dealership, in that 3-floor building, the newer, or rent out for a car dealership?
Yeah.
Well, the truck dealership, we don't get the sales tax in the truck, but you do in the cars, right?
Cars, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I think that makes things a little bit, I mean, again,
On the revenue side, Mayor, you had asked what else. I did attend the last two P&Z meetings. So I think it's also important to know that their intent is to continue to run off of their own water from the well and do not currently, as Mark mentioned, there's some hardships with connecting to the sanitary sewer. So really, there's no revenue sources at all.
Is there
other
any
than the
impact
property tax.
to that comment, Rick? Is there any other impact fees that the village is getting out of this? Jason or Mark?
No. Nope. We have impact fees on water and
Impact
sewer.
or impact fees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I do question whether or not we have any, I don't know that we have any right or remedy right now, John, to be able to cut off traffic going to the west. That is a state route. And I think we're going to have problems there. I heard P&Z, we'd like to do that. It seems logical that they would continue south on Archer or go north on 83, but there's no assurance of that. So, more than likely the trucks will travel west. Maybe it's not a big number, but they will travel west. And realistically, I don't know that we can stop them other than saying, please.
Yeah, we can. I mean, you could put something.
There's no.
Yeah, we run into the same issue with dealing with Citgo, and we could sit down with them and ask them to direct traffic elsewhere, but they're state routes, so you can't. There's no assurances.
Right. So, I mean, well, I already said what I need to say, I guess.
Yeah. So the all right, but let's just stay on that. So because there's several issues to this. Rick, since you brought it up, so it sounds like the applicant is not in favor of moving off the well water onto the city water. Is that correct?
No, that's correct. They want to maintain the use of their well. And like I said, they don't want to hook into the sanitary sewer, which, they'd have to travel to the south. There is a deep connection there along Main Street, but obviously it's quite a run. I think it's about 850 feet, I think they said in one of the meetings. But right now they're running on a septic, which, I question 180 trucks in a septic system in rock, which is the hardship. I don't know how well a septic works in getting rid of the sewage that is there in rock. So on one hand, we got a hardship because you got to dig through rock, but on the other hand, it is being stated that it will function fine for 179 trucks and whatever business they have there running with the existing septic field, which was never built for that type of usage. So obviously, if the trucks aren't there, they're not using it. But when they are there, that's when.
Or if you put in a new business like a dealership.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Mayor and
sure.
Board, this is Robert Hughley speaking. Just a couple of comments so far on the responses to the comments we've heard so far. On the existing well and septic that services the site, we'd like to keep that. And the reasons are stated in a letter that was written by and submitted by the engineer Paul Morris, and it includes a number of things. First of all, the well and septic that's there is sufficient to handle the proposed use. Secondly, there is a pipeline that goes east and west on the
We heard about the hardships. We did hear about that at the meeting. You stated that. So we know about the hardships.
Well,
as your own engineer said, nothing is impossible. It might have been you who had said it, but it is at a cost. So that is a hardship. We understand that.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I want to ask you a question. So what I have to do so I can have a sympathy to the village, or what I need to do, to the village? Do I have to do donation? Do I have to generate the taxes, so I can have this property? This property, I love the property. I need this property. for that 500,000 to hook up to the water and sewer. Much as I love the property, I don't have those money, extra $500,000. If it's that much, maybe even more. So what I have to do, so I can buy this property and move forward, and use for the trucks and for sell cars. So what I need to do so we can get zoning for.
Yeah, I think, Zoran, the short answer to that is I think that's what we're trying to flush out right now. I think we're trying to get a handle on, and it's not about, paying money. It's about what is the impact on the community, right? And because again, this is, we represent the community. What is the return of having increased truck traffic in that area, and what is the impact of that on the community? And we have to make sure, we're as a community we're whole on that. So I think that's the short answer. I don't know what the specifics are to get us there. I think that's what we're trying to think about. I don't think we're going to get there tonight. But I think at a high level, I mean, if we were able to quantify and say, hey, it's going to cost the village X and we need to get X, we would be able to do that through, if we were a home rule community, we might have other levers to pull. We do not have that. So that's why we're trying to flush some of this out. We'll probably flush more out as time goes on. But I think that's kind of the short answer. George, I don't know if you have anything else to.
No, I think you covered it. Just the board has to look at it holistically, not just, certain aspects of the development, but the impacts and what we're losing. And yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to just a master plan. The landowner come in here and say, okay, we're looking for 179 parking here. Over here, we're going to do this. Over here, we're going to go this. Like when we come in here and piecemeal all these parcels together, it's not going to be beneficial to the village as a whole. I don't think.
Yeah, I think to that point, the south parcel lot, which adjoins the village lot, is also a critical piece when we look at all of these properties together. So what we're hearing is that south parcel lot is not being sold, correct? Zoran, that's not part of this deal.
If that's a break in the deal, I'm gonna buy it. And also on us, I don't think I'm looking something unusual for that area. All my neighbors, the first neighbor is Kilgore Road and empty lot. The first neighbor is a truck terminal, and south is a Canal River, and the north is Main Street. I don't think we're looking to build something or to have something what is unusual for that area. And I know Lemont has a lot of houses, a lot of people live there, but that's a commercial area.
Yeah, and the south parcel lot, because this is new news as well, at least to me, the south parcel lot, George.
Yeah.
So right now, there's village-owned land on the south parcel lot to the east, correct? Which is part of the Bluestone
Yep, the red
property, right? So why don't you take the mouse and just kind of show where the road is, or is there not?
The red is the village owned, other than the box to the north there.
Okay. And as of right now, is there not utilities going through a piece of this property that could impact future development on the south parcels, either it be village or Mino property?
Correct. Yeah, the westernmost that says 12935, that is village owned.
Which one?
Right there where the cursor is, and then there's a strip of land just west of it, right there, right on the M1. That's a road that has utilities underneath it.
That line right there, is that?
Yeah.
That's so. I think originally, if there was a, a joint type of, partnership where that land was, eventually transferred to the village in some shape or form, I think what we were thinking of was, can you put some type of use there? But it sounds like if there was a building to go on that property, it probably cannot happen because of the utilities going underneath there. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a cost associated that's significant to move those utilities to the west end. So really, it splits up those two parcels.
Okay, and is that a road right now? Is that the road?
Yeah.
So basically the utilities are running under the current road, and what I was hearing was a significant number, like $400,000 or $500,000. Got it. So
What if I talk with the original sellers and I ask to buy the south parcel and build here next to the Mason, very nice building for a car dealership. And
yeah,
spend-
I think that is I think that makes our jobs as, representatives of the community, something more easier to fill that gap of lost sales tax revenue. I think we'd have to understand more, what that can, replace what we currently have. But yeah, I think that's
and I can, even if I don't use it, I know, and I'm 100% positive I can find the people who is in a car sales business, and they're looking for a nice place. Some of them, they are located in Willowbrook, and they have a indoor parking, and they pay a huge amount of money. I know I can build a brand new building there, with that extra 5 acres, and I can do the car dealership over there. If that's the change the attitude to the zoning for my truck terminal.
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, may I interject, please?
Sure.
Yep.
This is Robert Hughley again. I think we're getting a little far afield from the project that is in front of the committee, committee of the whole right now. Mr. Mino owns the property that's under the contract to sell, and we've requested for this special use. The underlying zoning is M2, and that means that the village has designated that as the best use of this property. That does not necessarily say that it's required that a sales tax be generated from this particular property. So we understand that the desire by the village to have sales tax generated from this property, but it shouldn't be a precondition to the proposed use.
Fair enough.
But John,
but you do not have truck parking right now, correct?
No, we do not have truck parking.
I think though that to Trustee McClafferty's point on looking at it, the entire area, because all the parcels all interrelate, and you have utilities that abut several of the parcels. You have more issues here than just one. And that's where Trustee McClafferty, I think you were saying, looking at it from a master planning, looking at the whole area, so we're not fragmenting this area and creating more issues. And I think that's also part of it. Maybe it's not, we're not going to solve it tonight, but I think there's an opportunity to kind of talk about how that can all work together.
I would make two comments. Approving this application would not fragment any more than it already is. It's taking one use and allowing a different use on the same property. And then secondly, I believe there was in regards to the discussion on utilities on the property to the south of us, Mr. Mino has been in contact with Bluestone people and the village and had discussions on a possible arrangement of developing these together, but the interest has fallen off on the part of Bluestone. So we've proceeded with this contract, and we're presenting the good use for this property I think that the comments regarding the sales tax assume that the sales tax are going to continue to be generated from this property, which may or may not be a very good assumption. In terms of the impact of the use on the roads, there's been heavy trucks loaded with stone coming in and out of this property for years. The trailers that are going to be used parking here are going to be, for the most part, empty. So there'll be far less weight and far less wear and tear on the roads. And then finally, the point is that as a very practical matter, the trailers and the trucks aren't going to go west. They're going to go east and jump onto Route 83. And in most of the cases, as the common sense dictates and the KLOA traffic study opines as well. So
No, fair enough. And I understand, and everyone has great intentions right now, and but once you grant something like this, nothing can stop from having FedEx trucks there coming in and out and having 300 trucks a day. That's what we have to be concerned about is, we could all say what we want to say on this call and have great intentions, but when you sign off on truck parking, that's what you're signing off on. So I hear what everyone is saying, but that's what we have to do as stewards of the village. We have to keep that in mind because there's no way we could sit there and limit the truck volume coming in and out. Zoran's saying, hey, maybe it's 5%. Hey, I believe Zoran, and I'm sure 100% that's the intention, but that's why truck parking is a special use here because it has a big potential impact on the village. Now, right now, all of us agree, what we're hearing today, it's probably, there's an impact, but it's not that big of an impact. But that's what we have to do as stewards of granting truck parking. Truck parking is a very, very sought after thing right now, as we all know. Zoran, I think you know this better than anyone. Other communities are not granting truck parking. And other communities are struggling with this because of the impact on their town. So I think we just got to keep this, in mind as we walk through this. And that's why we're trying to look at this as a holistic project versus, hey, it's, breaking it apart here and just looking at it. I hear what you're saying, but, we have to look at the big picture here and the potential impact of it later on if things do change, Zoran sells it or I'm sure that's not his intention, but this is what we have to think about as we ponder this. And that's where I'd like to hear from the other trustees as well. I mean, I think you hear.
Rick had his hand up.
Go ahead, Rick, if you want to share your thoughts.
I had another question. I wanted to come back and give Paul Morris an opportunity to address the capacity of the septic system there, because like I said, there's nowhere near that volume. Now, granted, just because there's 179 places doesn't mean there's 179 users. However, the potential is there. So Paul, do you have some kind of, how are you, what percentage are you basing the capacity of the septic there?
Here's the picture.
Okay, I figured out how to unmute myself. The situation with the drivers are that they're not there all day. They come, they go. Zoran said 5%, but that's really not going to contribute much to the septic. The drivers come, they get in their truck, they leave. When they bring their truck back, they get in their car and they go home. So this is more like whatever people that you're going to have working in the big building doing truck repair for the whole day those would contribute to the septic. Anybody that's in that other office building, they would be there for the whole day, and they would contribute to the septic. But since these office kind of uses are not 24 hours, and they're significantly less sewage generation per day than, say, your house. Your house.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Rick. I didn't want to let the cat out of the bag, you know. But houses are designed, septic hooked up to a house is designed for 100 gallons per person per day, right?
Okay.
But something like an office worker, there's no showers, there's nobody doing laundry. They're at 3 gallons per day, okay. For design load for a septic. So one person in a house generates as much as 30 employees in an office kind of setting, all right? So we're not looking at needing very much in the way of capacity on these systems to handle the number of people that would be working in these kind of setups. Those units that are in there are someplace around 500 gallon per day capacity on the treatment units. So that takes care of and that's on each. So you have on site between the two buildings, you have something in the range of 1,000 gallons per day treatment capacity, and at 3 gallons a day, that's several hundred people that it can handle. So it's really not even close to.
Well, okay, we don't collect on the sanitary side anyway, but on the water side. But you did answer my question as it relates to the sanitary side. We don't sell water. MWRD doesn't collect on the sewage. So that's how that works.
Mr. Snagusky, one other thing too is if you're wondering, well, we're losing out on the water. Well, if they're only using 100 gallons a day total on the site for sewage generation, well, that means they're only using 100 gallons of water to buy it.
I understand. I'm just trying to find out what's in it for the village and where, all we can look at, where do we generate any revenue? We don't.
Yeah.
And right. And you're right. Even if you were buying the water, it wouldn't be much.
Yeah.
And also some mention FedEx trucks. I don't want somebody to think we're not gonna have a loading docks. We're not gonna ship nothing over there, and we're not gonna receive nothing. We are not freight forwarders. I'm a just carrier. So I go somewhere, pick up the load, and go to point B to deliver the loads. So my drivers, if it's a driver's lounge, it's gonna be maybe a few guys with a vending machine, but won't be shower. Toilets is normal to have. I'm not gonna make existing toilets. And also nobody mentioned. I personally know in Lemont there was a list. I would say over 100 people who has a CDL and they are truck drivers, And if they want to park the trucks in Lemont, there's nothing available right now. And I believe the capacity of the Lemont right now, it's, 2,000, maybe 3,000 parking space, and everything is rent out. There is nothing available. I have people, who's live in Lemont, they are truck drivers, and they ask me where I'm parking. And I say, I'm parking in Lemont. And I give the phone number. They say, no, I cannot find nothing to park. They park in Joliet, and the other guy parking in Bolingbrook.
Okay, and Ron, you had your hand up. I wanted to kind of try to move it along.
Mr. Morris, on your septic system, will you have a septic field, or will you just have a tank that's regularly pumped out?
None of the above. Each one of these two buildings has an existing sewage treatment system with it, where it treats the wastes, and these are systems that are permitted through Cook County Department of Public Health. They have inspection contracts. They're maintained. They have service contract. Mino has a service contract with one or two companies. I can't remember whether they're maintained by the same company, but they are inspected every 6 months, serviced every 6 months, and it treats the effluent. It treats the sewage and discharges it into the detention pond on the site, and basically turns it into process water for Mr. Mino's current operations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Maher had your hand up. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I think Mr. Mayor was asking for kind of our thoughts. So I'm aligned with the mayor and Trustee Kittredge as well. So I would like to see something other than more parking on this corner. This is a visible corner for us. We're trying to do a development of ourselves to try to make the property attractive for our developments. And I think I don't necessarily just look at sales tax revenue, but I do look at impact on the village as well as revenue. So there's other areas of revenue, one of them being, bigger buildings. So that's what I'm looking for the site, not just a parking lot.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
And just to clarify my position, I'm not opposed to 179 parking spots. I'm just opposed to just it coming in as one applicant. I'd rather be part of one master plan, and that would take care of the whole parcel.
Thanks, Ken.
All right.
Any other concerns or comments by any of the other trustees?
Yeah, this is Joe Mino. How you doing?
Good, Joe. How you doing?
Hey, I'm okay. I'm hanging in there. You've noticed, you asked about the revenue. The revenue's dropped off considerably in the last 10 years, and it's doesn't look too bright for the near future. I tried to market this parcel for 5 years, and I'm having the same problem that you had, on your corner. There's just not a lot of people looking for other venues here in today's climate. It's really struggling trying to make it. So, we went to the village initially in August to put a plan together and they were okay. We redid the whole plan so that the gateway issues were resolved. We moved in the detention pond, Berman, and everything else. So we went through this whole process. Now at the end, there's a little bit of a feeling that this doesn't fit in the village. I'm the east property. This property is the east property. From my property west, you can't see anything but trucks and traffic. How is that? To me, I don't see how you can stand there and say that this little bit of traffic is going to have a huge impact on the village when west there's going to be 1,000, maybe more than 1,000 trucks and trailers on the same area from the canal to Main Street. I pulled the 5 acres out of this deal just to make sure that I would be able to offer that as to Bluestone. I've reached out to them on several accounts. Hey, what do you want to do with this 5 acres? They don't want to do anything with it. So it isn't on me. I'm still open, to do something with the strip along Main Street. I have no problem with that. But this is it. I have to get this behind me and done. It's just not, I don't think you guys are treating me fair. I've been in that village since 1986. I generated all kinds of sales tax. I generated all kinds of damn revenue to the village. And now in the end, you're kind of hemming and hawing what's in it for the village. Look back through the history books for 30 years. And, what was in it for the village then? No one ever came down and said, hey, here's a cup of coffee. No, but I generated all this revenue to the village. I think you need to take that into consideration. I don't think you're treating me fairly because I can see all the other trucks west of me. that's just the way I feel about it. And, you know, I'm just a human like the next guy. I'm trying to work with you guys, but, you know, the 5 acres, that's still up in the air. If you want to come back to me with something with, Mayor, have you had any contact with Bluestone? Any of you guys ever get any information from them?
Yeah, I think we have, Joe. Joe, what's the sales price on the 4 acres? What's the sales price on the property to the north that Zorn's buying?
What's that?
What are you selling the property to the north for, and what's the 4 acres to the south for sale?
That's not appropriate. That's not appropriate, Mayor. You know, you can't ask me what I'm selling it for. I don't think.
On the market or no?
Oh, no, is it on the market or no?
I pulled the 5 acres off after I had a conversation with Bluestone and tried to come up with a solution. What are we going to do up there? Then they gave me a comprehensive plan, you know, for on your corner, on your development. You know, what do you have right on the borderline on that road? You have a truck terminal there or some kind of terminal there with a bunch of trucks parked. So, you know, I don't think you're being objective about this. If you look at that, your development plan right on the road that we share on those 5 acres in the village, 5 acres there, what do you have there on your proposed planning for that? You have retail on the corner on the bottom, and you have a industrial building with trucks. I mean, it's just the way it is. I think you really have to be more objective. Sure, I like to live forever and I like to generate revenue for you guys forever, but it's not happening. I got old. The business has gone downhill, you know, and then, you know, you take from the bridge and you drive down 83, you know, and you drive up Main Street West. We invested millions of dollars in that building. It's a beautiful building. It's a gateway to the community. It costs you nothing. We paid the real estate on it. Don't cost you nothing. But there it is. I think we did a great job. When they came to me and said, hey, you know, we wanted to make it look nice. Hey, I'm leaving that property, right? That's my life's work. And I have a beautiful building on 83, and then I'm going to landscape it. So I have something that says, hey, I was here and this is what I did. You know, I think I've been more than fair with the village. And I think you're looking at this, I feel I'm being treated unfairly.
Hey, Joe, just real quick, I think the mayor's question is relevant on, you know, along Main Street, because you made a comment that Bluestone has no interest in it. And the reason, I mean, there's about a $600,000 cost to relocate utilities to make it work.
They offered me $800,000 for that piece of property a few years ago, right? I went back to them. I said, you know, after I've had a meeting with the village, they want to do something together. Are you have any interest in it? They said, no, we don't want.
Joe, though, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it on the market for more than that. But even so, due diligence, the cost to develop it is going to be significantly higher than they thought probably 3 years ago.
You know what it's going to cost to develop this with all these changes to the topographic for the truck parking? Moving the detention ponds, putting burns up, putting plants up. We're talking lots and lots of money. Mm-hmm. And that's because the village wants it to look nice. And that's the development plan that we put together. So it's everything's cost money. It's not my fault.
No, my point is Bluestone has to be, you know, financially feasible for the deal for them to buy your property, and $1 million plus 600,000 to relocate utilities, it doesn't make it work. So that's, so I don't think they don't have any interest. I think that it's just.
What do you want me to do? I'll tell you what, cut this deal here, and maybe I'll donate some property to the village along Main Street. What do you think? You got something out of it. You've been whining that you didn't get anything out of me.
Hey, Joe, I think you keep referring to that one comment I made. So let me
find out how much money I generated over 30 years, and you'll feel while I'm angry when I hear
you
stuff. When I hear people say, well, what are we going to get out of it? Well, shit, you got it all. I mean, you rode this horse for 30 years. Let me goddamn retire.
And Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I am. I'm calm down. I've been listening to shit all day.
I don't know if you heard, you know, what happened to me, you know, and I didn't give up on you. I have a very big tragedy in my family. I lost my father, and I didn't give up on you. just to let you know.
Hey, Joe and Zoran, you know, and we try to shave some costs here by not having our village attorney at our COW meetings. He probably should be here. Why don't we have our attorney reach out and we could continue these conversations? But I wish Mike was here because you got your attorney on there and,
What do you
so I
need
don't
an
know what.
attorney for?
Well, I mean, you're.
Because I got angry, you need an attorney?
You tell us. I mean, I just think we've gone round and round. You've heard the trustees' opinions, and I think it's.
Yeah, but I don't
you know.
think it's fair. Can I say that?
Yeah, Mike, this is Trustee McClafferty. I'm not opposed to what he's proposing right now. I'd rather see it as a master plan so that it's all done in one deal. So we know what's going to happen to the building. We know what's going to happen to the property right along New Avenue also.
You know, you guys been marketing that corner, just to be honest, you've been marketing that corner since 12.
Yeah.
I had the other mayor come down and say, hey, Joe, what are you going to do with those 5 acres? And I said to him, I don't know, I'm open. You know, I paid too much for it, like everything back in the day. And he said, well, you haven't done anything. There's nothing. You have nothing there. I mean, what do you have concrete on that corner? Hello?
Yep.
Joe,
you have any kind of deal that's concrete?
We have the deals you have on yours.
We're waiting for some land rights issues to get resolved with IDOT, but it's close. I mean,
I know, but I mean, you know, that's 8 years. And I pulled the 5 acres. I'll wait on the 5 acres, but I got to get this deal done. I don't think you're.
Understand.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Anything else from the trustees or Ron, you have your hand up still, or is that from before? Go ahead, Ron.
Okay.
I think Mr. Mino makes some very good points. But I think that staff and the petitioners ought to get together, do a little more talking, and Mr. Mino, and try to work something out. Be reasonable, everybody. And that's all I can say.
Yeah, good comment, Ron. And I agree. Guys, we're going to continue this conversation. And I think, you know, involving Mike, we could kind of, you know, get to some more details on a bigger picture. So guys, hang in there. Joe, I hear you loud and clear, buddy.
I don't know. I'm gotten old. I run out of daylight. No, I don't have that much time. I like to get finished.
Yeah, no,
and
we
want to entertain a deal on those acres on that along Main. I have no problem with that, but you know, I haven't heard anything in 2 years.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So maybe we
reach back out to
continue
Mike
that.
McKinnon.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Be in touch. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Appreciate everyone being on.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any unfinished or new business?
You know what? I just had a couple actually related to the last item, and I don't need my, on Monday, you guys are going to see 3 ordinances under consent, I hope, but we'll talk about it briefly here. Speaking of Bluestone, we are moving forward. We're still waiting for a couple of real estate issues to get cleared up with IDOT and Cook County. They are moving. It's really in the bureaucratic departments of IDOT and Cook County. But the development services agreement that was entered into between the village and Bluestone expires in February, but it does allow for the extension. Really no fault of Bluestone. It's really just getting these 2 issues done with IDOT and Cook County. So we propose to extend that agreement to the end of the year or 60 days after we get these issues cleared up from IDOT. So if anyone, I could send that out prior if anyone has any issues with that, just making the agreement continue.
How much has COVID played into the whole IDOT excuse?
Yeah, we're not going to blame COVID anymore, Rick. Sorry. But no, I think that a lot of folks in IDOT and Cook County aren't working in the office.
That's true. They did announce their new regional engineer, though. That's Jose Rios.
Yep.
He was the head of operations, so now he took over. He's a pretty good guy.
So that's really the only thing holding it up. But Bluestone's ready to move forward with the deal and the fuel center. So they just need more time because of IDOT. We can't approve a plat of subdivision without title being clean. So if everyone's good giving them that extension.
So what's the extension?
Extension would be to the end of the year or 60 days after these issues with IDOT and Cook County. But the end of the year would be the latest date.
Okay.
But it could be earlier if Cook County and IDOT. No later. No later than 1 year, but.
No later than
Is that,
1 year.
is that still down in Springfield now, George, or is that back in district?
It's both because the Springfield and local in Schaumburg, they both play a role. So they're working hand in hand. But again, as you mentioned, very few are working yet in the office. They're all working from home, and we all know how challenging that can be. It is moving though. We have a couple consultants on it. It's just, there's a lot of research involved. I mean, there's actually a lot of history with Old Bell Road, used to be, County Road, and then it got converted to IDOT, but we're getting there, but just an extension.
Okay.
And then Jason, I know we're running late on time here, but Jason had a couple quick questions of the board regarding some requests of the Forge outdoor park. I'm sure you guys have been out there for ice skating and all the fun activities, but they're planning some things for summer, right, Jason? Just had a quick question. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, and we'll be sure to run these by the Heritage Corridor and Outdoor Recreation Commission too. But to keep folks in the loop, I had a couple conversations with Justin Dobert out there about events they want to host this summer. And we may have to look at our regulations for the quarry area. They want to have a day camp, which seems fine. We don't have any issues with the day camp out there. But they asked if, along with that, the campers could camp out on their property one night a week. So camping right now is prohibited in the quarry area. This would be on their private land. So I'm not sure that, that falls, but we'll discuss with the H-Corps. The other is they want to host a triathlon potentially this summer. And with that, offer some swimming lessons, I guess. They want people to have private instruction and training in the Forge Quarry. I believe the Forge Quarry is owned by the township. And again, swimming isn't currently allowed in the quarries. And this would not be an open swim or anything like that. This would be a private event under instruction as a training opportunity. So those are two ideas out there that they want us to take a look at, two things that aren't currently permitted out there, but we're going to explore with the H-Corps and others how we could help accommodate them, unless there's any no hard concerns about that.
No, I would just, make sure that Heritage Quarry Committee, obviously get their input on that.
Absolutely.
Dave, I don't know if you have any other comments.
I would just also suggest before you get too far down the road on that, Jason, that you check if, the insurance is what always pops into mind on those things. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not that plays here because it's some private property, some not, I don't know. But I would hate the hell to go through it, get 80% down the road, and then find out, oh no, we can't do it because we got problems with the Illinois insurance. Okay.
Yeah, and John, I'm fine with both of them if insurance is good and we go through the proper regulations. Like I heard there was issues with the state for the water, so they got to get something with that. But if they go through that, I'm all for it. I mean, those both seem like good uses for what we're doing down there. So.
Yep.
As far as the overnight camping, we had tried to get a Boy Scout camp down there, but that fell through. They backed out. So I guess we were in favor of it at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else, George?
I don't have anything unless you guys had.
No.
Have an executive session?
No executive session, potentially on Monday, but we have a formal voting meeting on Monday. But if you had anything, Ron, let me know and we can add it to the agenda.
Do we have audience participation?
Yeah, this is the, if anybody's still there, audience participation section. Now would be a good time to raise your hand if you had any questions or comments, and I'll call you up. Just waiting here. There's a couple people in here. All right. Nobody with their hand up, so I think we're good to go, Mr. Mayor.
All right, well, time to adjourn tonight's call. Again, appreciate everyone joining. I know we ran long here, and everyone have a great week, and thanks again. So motion to adjourn the committee of the whole meeting at exactly 8:57. All in favor,
So
say
moved.
aye.
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 All right, great. Everybody, let's adjourn. Thank you. Have a great week.